Winning isn't easy. It's
So, good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is audible. Hello. Can you please check whether my voice is audible or not? Yes. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, welcome to our Astra series. In this, I am going to discuss about today's budget 2026 and 27. So, this video is exclusively for those audience who are writing prelims this year and who are preparing for competitive examinations, be it Union Public Service Commission or State Public Service Commissions. And subsequently, this will be useful for the general audience, but as I have been focusing on some statistics, which will be exclusively very important for the so-called examination. So this is highly useful for those students who are preparing for competitive exams. Right, so with this, let's start. So budget 2027 has been presented today by our finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, and we know, according to Article 112 of Indian Constitution, it shall be the duty of President to present before both the houses of Parliament every year a financial statement containing the estimated receipts and estimated expenses of the government for the upcoming financial year. And on behalf of President of India, it shall be the duty of Finance Minister to present the budget before Lok Sabha. In the year 2017, the budget was presented. Up to 2017, the budget was presented on the last day of February. But in the year 2017, we all know that the budget has been preceded to 1st of February every year. Now, why they have shifted it to 1st of February? So that the entire budget exercise will be completed within 60 days. That is by March 31st. The budget discussion will be completed, and from 1st April, out of Consolidated Fund of India, which is mentioned in Article 266 of Indian Constitution, money will be taken out. This will ensure that there will be no effective use of vote on account provisions, which are present again in the Constitution in the Article number 115 of Indian Constitution. Under this discussion, we have to know the basics of budget first of all. So the budget will be classified. What do we mean by budget, guys? It is nothing but the incomes and expenses of everyone. Everyone has a budget here. A common man has budget. A family has budget. Similarly, governments will have budget, be it the state government or the so-called the national governments. If it is for an individual, generally we will prepare budget for every month. Say, for example, if you are a student, you'll be calculating what is the budget for you, so that we will be asking money from our parents for the upcoming month. So for month of February, in order to get money, we'll be preparing budget in the month of January itself. We'll call to our parents and we'll ask them to send the money. Right. Similarly, every family will have budget here. What are the expenses that they are going to face in the upcoming days, what is the income sources that they have. Just like the family and the so-called individual who are preparing monthly expenses and incomes list, similarly, state governments and central governments will have expenses. Be it Chief Minister Mr. Revanth Reddy or Mr. Chandrababu Naidu or the central government, which is headed by Prime Minister Modi, anyone has their own expenses. As a result, you want income for it. Now, Constitution says the government of India can collect money in the form of taxes from the public according to Article 265 of Indian Constitution. If you read the provisions of Article 265, no money shall be collected except, no tax can be collected except by an authority of law. We have laws known as income tax laws and GST laws to collect this amount. As the money has been provided by the public of the country, the government is responsible to the public on every rupee that they are spending. And budget is one exercise where the executive, that is the government, comes to the legislature and makes before the legislature what is their responsibility, that is how they are spending the money, and they will ask the permission from the public, that is from the representatives of the public, that is through the institution of parliament, particularly Lok Sabha. So that is what Article 112 says. And Article 113 of Indian Constitution says demand for grants shall be presented on the recommendations of the President of India, and they have to be passed by Lok Sabha alone. And Article 114 says no money shall be taken out of Consolidated Fund of India except upon passing of the so-called appropriation bill. And Article 114 speaks about appropriation bill, and appropriation bill is passed only in Lok Sabha. And we know the budget provisions in the Constitution. The first thing that we have to remember is Constitution did not specify the term or use the term budget. Rather, in place of budget, they have used the term annual financial statement. Article 112 explains it. And we have Lok Sabha versus Rajya Sabha provisions as far as budget is considered, where Lok Sabha has some excess powers compared to Rajya Sabha, where Rajya Sabha can discuss the money bills but cannot vote or change the so-called components of money bills which are mentioned in Article 110 of Indian Constitution. These are some procedural aspects as far as budget is considered. And budget technically is mentioned as annual financial statement. And budget contains, as I have been saying, it contains two components, the income component and expenses component. Take, for example, if I am staying in some cities and preparing for a competitive examination like UPSC, and if I have an expense of say 10,000 rupees per month, I'll be preparing the list of all expenses and I will be looking at from where I can get this 10,000. It may be your friends, it may be your family, it may be my part-time job or savings, anything I can use. So if you are preparing that document, then that is called budget. Then that is called budget. So here we have to look at what is the budget of Government of India as presented by Finance Minister Srimati Sitaraman today. Before going into that, we have to remember that Sitaraman has presented this budget consecutively for the 9th term, and she has become the first finance minister to present this budget consecutively these many times. In terms of the total number of presentations in the budget, Mr. Morarji Desai has been ranking at number 1, followed by Sitaraman. But in terms of continuous presentation of budget, it was Srimati Sitaraman. And if you look at this, so today we must have seen the Hindu newspaper or budget speech. They are also speaking about which type of sari she has worn. This is important from the cultural aspects of Indian history. She has worn the traditional sari which was woven in the state of Tamil Nadu, some Kanchipuram sari. So this is for cultural aspects as far as UPSC Prelims is considered. Right. So this is the basic introduction of budget. So this year we have prepared the list of components of budget altogether, and that components are going to be shared to you now. So first we'll start with this component sharing, where Government of India has presented or what exactly are the provisions of this budget. We'll show you before entering into the basic aspects. Who are writing this year will be presenting to you in a while. Hmm. Assume. So we are sharing the screen of what does this budget contain. So one thing that we have to understand is Government of India has said that this year the budget is going to be can you check me? Hello? Can you please check whether my voice is audible or not? రావట్లేదు అసలు. Is my voice audible to you? Just check it once. వాయిస్ వస్తుందో లేదో ఒకటి చెప్పు. మరి లైవ్ రావట్లేదు. షేర్ ఓకే. లైవ్ వస్తుందా? ఓకే, లీవ్ ఇట్. ఐ విల్ మేనేజ్. So too many tabs open చేసాం bro. Too many tabs open చేసేసి వెళ్ళారు. Is it screen visible? Yeah, no issue. Okay, we look at it. Hello, hello, hello. Give us 5 minutes. We'll be back in 5 minutes. రాదు ఇదంతా కనుక చేసుకోవాలి మళ్ళీ ఒక్క నిమిషం కనెక్ట్ Guys will be cutting in 5 minutes. ఇది ఓపెన్ చేయడం తప్పు ఫస్ట్ వస్తుంది వెల్కమ్ డోంట్ వరీ Yeah, let's look at this. There has been some issue in the screen sharing. So I'll just explain here. Budget 2026-27. You can do one thing. Those who are following my YouTube channel, you can download this entire budget document that I have updated. So please download it from my YouTube channel. Every document I have uploaded there, you can watch for the reference. Right? Upload that. Telegram, yeah. In the Telegram group, we have uploaded it. Please download all my documents in our Telegram channel. Whatever the Telegram channel that we have been giving you, all the updates, you can download it from Telegram channel. Right. I have compiled everything for this year budget just now. So look at this. Yeah. Please download it and that will be useful for you for reference. So here what is present is budget 2026-27. We know that budget contains two components. One component is the so-called the component of incomes. Second one is the component of expenses. Incomes and expenses. This year, the total number of expenses or the total amount of expenses that Government of India has set is 53.47 lakh crores. So the budget is of 53.47 lakh crore budget. This year, Government of India has set it. This year, Government of India has set the total expense of 53.47 lakh crores. 53.47 lakh crores is the budget that Government of India has set. So we all know that 53.47 lakh crores means in the expenditure that will be the same amount, in the income it will be the same amount. So in the expenses it is 53.47, in the receipts or incomes it is 53.47. And the second thing that we have to focus is income is classified into two types. One is revenue receipts and second one is capital receipts. Revenue receipts and capital receipts. So if you know what is the definition of revenue receipts and capital receipts, you can please type it here. What are revenue receipts? What are capital receipts? Just as also recall our basics of it. What do you mean by revenue receipt? What do you mean by capital receipt? Right. In the revenue receipts, we have taxes and non-tax revenues. Taxes and non-tax revenues. According to the latest budget, budget 2026 and 27, if you look at the revenue receipts, it is 35.33 lakh crores. Revenue receipts is rupees 35.33 lakh crores. And in the capital receipts, it is the remaining component of 53.47, that is rupees 18.14 lakh crores. This is our receipts in terms of revenue as well as in terms of capital. So the total amount is, it has to account for 53.47, so it will be 53.47. So please type what is revenue receipt, what is capital receipts. Let me know whether you are following the class or not. Please type what is revenue receipts and capital receipts here. Now if you look at the revenue receipts also, we have taxes and non-taxes. In terms of taxes this year, government has projected that they will be getting 28.66 lakh crores. Rupees 28.66 lakh crores is coming from revenue receipts, tax receipts, as well as in the non-taxes, it is 6.7 lakh crores. It is 6.7 lakh crores is what Government of India has calculated for non-tax receipts. So this is a simple outline. So revenue receipts are neither creates liability nor reduces assets. Yes, Sai Priya, that is correct. Revenue receipts are those receipts which neither creates liability nor reduces an asset, whereas capital receipts are those receipts which either reduces capital asset or creates a liability. Now, if you look at capital receipts, there is total amount of 18.14 lakh crores. In this, the borrowings are dominant. You have borrowings, which is creating a liability. And Government of India has been recovering loans, recovery of loans. So the major component of capital receipts is coming from the so-called borrowings. Borrowings account for almost 16.95 lakh crores. 16.95 lakh crores. And recovery of loans is somewhere around 38,000 crores. rupees 38,000 crores, and the rest of the amount is from others. This is what they have as far as the revenue component is considered. You have revenue receipts and capital receipts. Revenue receipts total amount is from taxes or non-taxes, and capital receipts is this. These figures, this is important to know. No need to go in depth of that. At least remember some approximate figures. So total budget is 53.4. You can remember 3, 4, 5 numbers are there. So you remember 53.4 or 53.46, something like that, so that you can be remembering. And then remember only one component, revenue receipts. The rest of the things will be capital receipts. Right? Revenue receipts is 35.33. So in the 53.47, 35.33 comes here. So you can remember this easily. So these figures are important whenever we are writing mains exam. So far UPSC did not ask the numbers, but if you are writing state exams like Group 1 and Group 2 services, they might ask the so-called the figures also. This is one thing that we have to remember. As far as borrowings is considered, this is the one. If you look at the expenses also, ladies and gentlemen, you have revenue expense as well as capital expense. So we should be able to remember. What are the revenue expenses of Government of India? What are the capital expenses of Government of India? In the revenue expenses, you have interest payments, which are highest. Interest payments. So what is revenue expenses? These are the expenses which neither create an asset nor reduce a liability. అప్పులు క్రియేట్ చేయవు, ఆస్తులు తగ్గించవు. అటువంటి ఖర్చుని రెవెన్యూ ఖర్చులు అంటాం. So revenue expense is this, interest payments. So how much is the interest payment in this budget? It is somewhere around 14.04 lakh crores. So 14 lakh crores is going for revenue receipts or interest payments. And then grant in aid to the states, almost 5 lakh crores they have given for grant in aid for capital asset creation. Grant in aid for capital asset creation, they have given almost 4.9 lakh crores. You can remember as 5 lakh crore rupees. This is one of the most important things. So the total revenue expenses of Government of India is at 41.25 lakh crores. 41.25 lakh crores is the total revenue expense. And if you look at the capital expense, Government of India has a capital expense of rupees 12.22 lakh crores. So that makes us to come to the point of 53.47. So the total receipt should be equal to expenses. So if you look at the receipts and expenses, it is the number of 53.47 lakh crores. So this year, the budget is estimated to be at 53.47 lakh crores. This is the first thing that everyone, whoever have attended my classes, you might be knowing it, how to prepare. This is the thing that we have to prepare. This is the first document that you should have. In this document, we have highlighted the so-called what are the revenue receipts, what are the revenue expenses, what are the capital receipts, what are the capital expenses. And in this, I have also shown that who prepares budget. Budget is prepared by Budget Division, Ministry of Finance, and in the Ministry of Finance, you have 6 departments. Please type which department prepares budget. In the Ministry of Finance, please type which department. There are 6 departments in the Ministry of Finance. You know, Ministry of Expenses, Ministry of Revenue, Ministry of Department of Expenses, Department of Revenue, Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Financial Services, DPAM and DPE. You have 6 departments. Please type which department in the Ministry of Finance prepares this document that is called budget. Yes, editorial committee. This is prepared by Department of Economic Affairs. Editorial committee is from here itself. So Ministry of External Affairs, Department of External Affairs, Shravan. So that should be department, not ministry. Ministry means that is something different. Every ministry is divided into departments. So Department of Economic Affairs is the one which will be doing this. So this is one thing that we have to know. So Department of Economic Affairs. Now who is preparing it? Budget Division in the Department of Economic Affairs prepare it. The same department is responsible for preparing of the so-called economic survey, but economic survey under this department will be handled by the Chief Economic Advisor, as we have discussed in our Economic Affairs lectures, where Mr. Ananta Rageshwaran and his team will be preparing economic survey. So Department of Economic Affairs is the one which will be preparing it. So this is the one that we have. So this is the first document. This document can be downloaded in our Telegram channel, right? This is the first thing. So this is a summary of it, guys. You have to remember what 53.47 lakh crores is the budget, or you can remember 53.5, or you can remember at least 53 lakh crores. How this is classified? This is income and expenses. Now UPSC has not asked so far this thing, except one thing: who prepares this budget, and what happens if the budget is not passed in the parliament? Can anyone answer what happens if budget is not passed in the parliament? Please type your answer. This is previous year prelims question, by the way. What happens if the budget is failed to move in the Lok Sabha? Please let me know what happens it. So I'll be going to the next theme from it. So after preparing this, the second thing that everyone has to understand is what UPSC asks. UPSC asks not the so-called figures. They will ask what is revenue expense, what is capital expense, what is revenue receipts, what is capital receipts. Right, this is what they will ask. Yes, the answers are coming. So Council of Ministers resigns. Government will get dissolved. Yes, Mr. Prem. Yes, the editorial committee. Shravan Kumar. Executive is responsible for legislature. Yes, it is responsible. If budget is not passed, executive is preparing this budget. If budget is not passed, what happens then? My question is, what happens if the executive which has prepared this Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister has prepared it? If they have not passed this in the Lok Sabha, it indicates that Council of Ministers do not enjoy confidence in Lok Sabha. The moment Council of Ministers do not enjoy confidence in Lok Sabha, they are subjected to dissolution. Hence, Prime Minister has to submit his resignation. Simple. If budget is not passed in the House, government loses confidence, they have to submit resignation. There is no other way. They have to lose, because budget is government bill. If government bills are not passed, it indicates that they lack confidence in the Lok Sabha and they have to resign. This is previous year question. So government has to resign, or Council of Ministers has to resign. As a result, government dissolves. This is one first thing that we should know. Now, what UPSC asks, ladies and gentlemen, out of this budget, what UPSC asks? UPSC will be asking some trends. What are the trends that we have to worry? What are the trends that we have to look at? We have to look at the major trends. First of all, we have to look what are the major income sources for government, what are the major expenses for government, whether tax receipts are high or non-tax receipts are high. Then we have to look at what are the deficits. Deficit trends are extremely important for UPSC. And then the fourth one, what is debt to GDP of this government? That is also very, very important. You should know what is debt to GDP of this government this year. That should be known. And apart from that, we have to remember the trends, particularly the trends of fiscal deficit and all the deficits in the country, and the trends in tax to GDP. This is the thing that we should know. So the next one that we will be discussing is tax to GDP of this country. And then what is the total non-debt receipts? This is again updated in our Telegram channel. You can have a look at it. UPSC asked questions from this. This is the paper that you can refer as far as prelims is considered. Right. This is one thing. So let's have a look at that components. I hope you have noted it down. This is the first segment. The second segment from here we'll move to is the so-called what is the trends. Trends is extremely important. Trends is extremely important for our budget. They will ask questions for prelims only from this. So someone can share the link in the description, our Telegram channel link. Someone can share it. You have to share. So already in the description, the Telegram link is shared. If someone is facing trouble, you can just go to it and you can have a look at it. So what is important for prelims here? After discussing it, the second most important thing in budget is trends in budget. Trends in budget, please note it down, all the people who are attending our classes. First trend, where does money come from? This year, look at the sources of income. Sources of income is the first thing. Source of income to the government. Rupee comes from where? So in the decreasing order, if you look, rupee is coming most from borrowings. So out of all the sources, borrowings are dominating the source of income to the government. This is followed by income tax. This is followed by corporate tax. This is followed by GST. So the top sources of income for the government, everyone, please note it down. This is important for your prelims. Your prelims preparation of current affairs should start from here. This is first thing. Government of India gets more money from borrowings compared to other sources. This is the first decreasing order. The second thing is income tax and corporate tax. You know this. These are direct taxes, and this is an indirect tax. Therefore, second observation that you have to have is direct taxes are more compared to the so-called indirect taxes. These are the first two observations that everyone has to remember. Very, very important. Right. Second, what is order of expense? This is sources of income. Sources of expenses or order of expense. Where we are expending more money. They can ask this question. UPSC's favorite question is increasing order and decreasing order. Where we are spending more money. That is the most important thing. Lok Sabha dissolves. Lok Sabha may not dissolve. Council of Ministers may dissolve. And if there is some alternative sources of forming the government, the president enters into situational discretion to call that government to form that group to form the government. So automatically Lok Sabha will not get dissolved. Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister will get dissolved, not Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha dissolution is the last step. Right. Next, order of expenses. If you look at the order of expenses, out of the rupee that it is coming, so where does rupee comes from? Rupee comes from this, but where we are spending the rupee highest. If you look at where we are spending the rupee, highest amount of rupee is being spent on the so-called state shares. So government is giving state share of taxes according to Finance Commission recommendations. So state shares of taxes. State's share of taxes is the highest amount that it is giving. So rupee is going maximum to state share of taxes. This is followed by interest payments. Very, very important. So look at the interest obligations that Government of India has. Out of 1 rupee that we are spending, 20 paisa is going to rupees payments, which means 1/5 of the entire expenses that Government of India has is going for interest payments. It is followed by central sector schemes. Central sector schemes. Can someone type, what do you mean by central sector scheme? Please let us know what is central sector scheme. So central sector schemes is the dominant one in the third one, followed by defense expenses. Followed by defense expenses. These are the top 4 expenses that the Government of India is spending. Top 4 expenses that Government of India is spending, which is important for our claims. In the state share of taxes, it is going to 22 paisa. 20 paisa goes to interest payments. Please share someone what is central sponsored scheme. So for central sponsored scheme, 17 paisa is being spent, and for defense expenses, 11 paisa is being spent in every 1 rupee. So out of 1 rupee that they are spending, highest amount is going to this, which means this is the order of difference. 100% central government, says Rushit. Is it correct? 100% central government is central sector, central sponsored schemes. So can someone give some light into this? Funded by central government. How much funded? That is the question. Right. So this is the second thing that we have to identify. Central sponsored schemes are those schemes where union and state government will be sharing the money. Union government and state government will be sharing the money. So some amount you share, some amount I share. This is called central sponsored schemes. If 100% is borne by the center, that is called central sector scheme. Central sponsored schemes are different. Central sector schemes are different. Central sectors are 100% funded. Central sponsored are sharing. So this is the thing that we have to have. Next, this is the next thing that we have to remember. Very important. The most important thing is coming now. which we can expect in the prelims questions. That is called deficits. That is called deficits. What are the deficits for this financial year that Government of India has said? If you look at the deficits for the upcoming financial year 2027, for the upcoming financial year 2027, the order of deficits is extremely important for prelims. The order of deficits is extremely important. The order of deficits is extremely important. Right. So deficits. If you look at the deficit trends, as usual, this year also, the deficits are highest for fiscal deficits, followed by revenue deficits, and most importantly, followed by primary deficit, followed by effective revenue deficit. This is the order of preference. This is the order of preference. So Sai Priya, 100% central Kadu. It will be a share. Central sponsored schemes is a share, not 100%. So the third most important thing for this year prelims is what is the deficit trends. You can see that in the PDF that we have prepared. I'm not able to share it here, but you can observe it. Right. That is one thing that we can observe as far as deficits are considered. Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, primary deficit, effective revenue deficit. Right. We have this here. I'll also try to show here, if it is possible. Okay, this is the next one. Next, one more thing that you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is all deficits, very, very important. Remember, all deficits, be it fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, primary deficit, effective revenue deficit, all deficits has been consistently decreasing since financial year 2021. Very, very important. All deficits has been consistently decreasing since, very, very important notice, consistently decreasing since financial year 2021, which means 2021. Since 2021, all deficits in the country has been, okay, Sai Priya, you said central sector scheme, that's fine. Central sponsored scheme is in share, right? Central sponsored scheme is in share. This is the budget document that I am referring to for you people. So we have given what is this budget 2006 and 7. We have uploaded it already. And then I have given about notable trends. We are discussing about this notable trends. This is followed by the so-called, these are all the trends that we have to know. After this government's budget in detail for mains analysis I have given, we'll come with this. So if you look at this, guys, this is the deficit trends that we are speaking about. Very, very important as far as deficit trends are considered. Please open this in the flowchart that we have given, in the book that we have given. This is available for you in our YouTube channel, in our Telegram channel, right? So if you look at these fiscal deficits, all the deficits, be it fiscal, primary, revenue, and effective revenue deficit. Effective revenue deficit, it has been consistently decreasing since financial year 2021. And this year, financial deficit is at 4.3%, revenue deficit at 1.5%. So if you look at this, 4.3%, revenue deficit is at 1.5%, primary deficit is at 0.7%, effective revenue deficit is at 0.3%. So you have to remember that figures also. UPSC can ask this. This is important for prelims. Whatever you are finding on the screen, it is important for the so-called prelims. This is the third thing that you have to remember. Deficits. So deficit trends are extremely important, ladies and gentlemen. You have to remember this figure at any cost. Many times I ask this question in prelims. This is one most important segment. After this, we have to look at the so-called the next one. We have to look at the next one. Debt to GDP. What is our total debts of central government? This year they have given it. So again, this becomes important. What is the total debt to GDP of government? If you look at the total debt to GDP of central government, If you look at total debt to GDP of central government, debt as a percentage of GDP, debt as a percentage of GDP, which means debt by GDP into 100. If you look at it, this year the debt to GDP is at 55.6%. So for financial year 2027, budget estimates it at 55.6%. Now those who have attended my classes, you will be knowing that they have asked this question once according to FRBM Act. So according to FRBM Act, it has to be reduced to 40% and 20% respectively by the union government and the state governments. But even today, the FRBM targets was revised and they have made it. They have been expecting at 55.6%, whereas FRBM target is at 54.7%. Right, this is what we have. Next, after this, this is very, very important, tax to GDP. Next thing that we have to remember is total non-debt receipts. Total non-debt receipts. Debt receipts are called fiscal deficits. The total non-debt receipts in the government of India is 36.5 lakh crores. Total non-debt receipts has been consistently increasing. So if you look at the receipts also, again, total non-debt receipts have been consistently increasing since the year 2021, since financial year 2021. This is another trend. Total non-debt receipts. You know what is total non-debt receipts? In the entire incomes, revenue receipts such as tax, non-tax, and except borrowings, capital assets, non-debt creating capital assets, non-debt creating capital expense, capital receipts is one thing that you have to remember. These are exclusively important again. These are exclusively important for our UPSC. So this is the first trend that I have given in this second page. In this second page, this is important. So UPSC focuses on second page. Following by third page. Don't worry, editorial committee is testing whether everyone has this Telegram link or not. Okay. Prem. Next. Trends in capital expenditure. You should also know trends in capital expenditure. Right. We'll be looking at the trends in capital expenditure. This is the second slide, which is extremely important for our prelims this year. This is extremely important for this year prelims. Next thing, the third thing that we have to remember is continuing with the trends. Trends in capital expenditure, extremely important again. Trends in capital expenditure. Before going into trends in capital expenditure, look at tax to GDP. Tax to GDP. Can anyone say what is tax beyond C? Who has attended my Astra classes? Can you please tell me what is tax beyond C? Because this is previous year question. What is tax beyond C? Look at this flowchart. I am speaking about this. Trends in tax receipts. What is the total trends in tax receipts? I am speaking about it. Look at this segment. Right. You will identify what is the trends in tax receipts from financial year 2018 to financial year 2027. Are you able to see it? So open that. So if you look at it, tax to GDP is at 11.2% for this year. Tax to GDP is at 11.2%. In that you can see direct taxes is given in yellow color. It is 6.9%. And indirect taxes is the remaining 4.3%. So total is 11.2. Already I have said direct taxes are greater than indirect taxes in the country, and that can be witnessed even in this yellow diagram. Even in this diagram, you can download that and you can have a look at it. So trends in tax to GDP, if you observe, change in tax to change in GDP, excellent. So tax revenue change versus GDP. Yes, Rishi, that is correct. Yes, Sai Priya, that is correct. Absolute. So trends in tax to GDP is this, which is around 11.2%, which is around 11.2%, which in which direct taxes are 6.9 and indirect taxes are 4.3. By identify that figure, I hope you are looking at the figure. Can you tell me, please answer this question. In which of the following years between 2018 to 2027, in which of the following years between 2018 to 2027, the indirect taxes has been greater than direct tax? The indirect taxes has been greater than direct tax. Indirect taxes ఎప్పుడు ఎక్కువ ఉన్నాయి direct tax తో కంపేర్ చేస్తే. Normally direct taxes are greater than indirect tax. But can you identify and tell in which of the following years indirect tax is greater than direct tax? Can you identify and tell? That is important. UPSC will ask this. In which of the following years between financial year 2018 to 2027 that we are finding on the screen, indirect taxes have been greater than direct taxes? Indirect taxes have been greater than direct taxes. That is important, ladies and gentlemen. UPSC will ask it. Editorial team, you are also not commenting. Huh? Okay, Joint Commission is discussing it. So what about other people? Okay, so let me tell you, the answer is indirect taxes are greater than direct taxes in the year financial year 2021. Please have a look at it. 5.4 and 4.8. Financial year 2021. That is the only year. In the financial year 2021, in the last, since financial year 2018, in the year 2021, indirect taxes have been greater than direct taxes. This is one abnormality that we observe. As a result, it is important. As a result, this is important. So financial year 2021, that is one observation that you have to have. So this is the thing that we have. So trends in tax to GDP. If you look at trends in tax to GDP, there has been no consistency. The total amount of tax to GDP has been no consistency. So there is no consistency in tax to GDP. They can ask, tax to GDP has been consistently increasing in the last 5 years, last 6 years, there is no consistency. So this is one thing that we have to identify and that we have to note it down. So trends, sources, expenses, deficit strength, debt to GDP, and since financial year, this one. These are the things which is important in the next segment. So you can find it in my paper. You can find it in my paper. Trends in tax to GDP. So that is one thing that you have to update it there. That is one thing that you have to update it there, saying that in the tax to GDP, only in financial year 2021, indirect taxes have been greater than direct taxes. Since financial year 2018, that is what you have to update it in this paper. Moving to the next paper, guys. Next trend is capital expenditure. Very, very important, capital expenditure. UPSC's favorite question is capital expenditure. Look at this. This is the one. Everyone has to look at it. So trends in tax to net receipts of the center. If you look at it in lakh crores, absolute numbers, the tax to net receipts of the government, or leave the net receipts. Look at this, capital expenditure. I am speaking about capital expenditure. I am speaking about capital expenditure. So if you look at capital expenditure since 2018, for the budget 2027, capital expenditure has been at effective capital expenditure has been at 7.1 lakh crores. Effective capital expenditure has been at 17.1 lakh crores. Can someone say what is effective capital expenditure? They have given that effective capital expenditure is 17.1 lakh crores. Can someone say what is effective capital expenditure? Very, very important. This year we can expect this type of questions. Effective capital expenditure. Right. Someone commented. So if you look at effective capital expenditure this year, it is at 17.1 lakh crores. It is at 17.1 lakh crores. So after this, friends, I hope you have marked a note of it. So we'll be continuing with this. Now have a look at it. Capital expenditure minus grants. Editorial committee. Capital expenditure minus grants. If you open your eyes and ears a little wide at that table, you will identify what is effective capital expenditure. Effective capital expenditure is equal to blue chart plus green yellow chart. Blue plus yellow is effective capital expenditure. So what does this mean? Effective capital expenditure is equal to capital expenditure plus grant in aid to the states in the form of capital assets. Grant given to the states for capital asset creation is effective capital expenditure. So the total effective capital expenditure is effectively 12.2 lakh crores plus 4.9 lakh crores this year. It is 17.1. Extremely important this year because look at the jump that they have made from 14 lakh crores to 17.1 lakh crores. Definitely we can expect this question, ladies and gentlemen. So if you look at the trend also, the effective capital expenditure of the government has been consistently increasing since 2018. Look at 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20, 27 data. Effective capital expenditure has been at 4.5 lakh crores. It reached to 5 lakh crores, 5.2 lakh crores, 6.6 lakh crores, 8.4 lakh crores, 10.5, 12.5, 11. 13.2, 14 lakh crores last year. It is 17.1 lakh crores. This is not a joke. Capital expenditure increased enormously under this government. We have to give kudos to this government for increasing their capital expenditure. So this is an outstanding feature under this government which we can expect to have a question at. So effective capital expenditure is important to be noting it down and you have to know what is it. So effective capital expenditure has been, so that I have written in this, effective capital expenditure has been consistently increasing since 2017-18. Very, very important in lakh crores. And if you look at effective capital expenditure of the government, look at the blue one. Effective capital expenditure of the government. 2.6 lakh crores, 3.1 lakh crores, 3.4, 4.3, 5.9, 7.4, 9.5, 10.5, 11 and 12.2. What does that indicate? Capital expenditure of the government has been consistently increasing since 2018. These two are absolutely important. Mark my word, this can be a question here. Right. This is the thing. So this clearly shows, what does it indicate? Government of India is speaking about a budget. That I'll come into the analysis of the budget. Let's complete with the so-called static component first. If you look at this, effective capital expenditure has been consistently increasing in lakh crores in absolute numbers. But in terms of percentages, this is the one that you find in terms of percentages. Capital expenditure is as a percentage of GDP. There is no consistency. There is no consistent increase or no consistent decrease. So as terms of percentages, there is no consistency. But in terms of absolute numbers, there has been consistency. That is what we have written in point number 6. That is what we have written in point number 6. Point number 6 is important this year. And then The total amount of revenue that Government of India is giving to the states, the total amount of grants given to the states, transfers to the states. So according to the Finance Commission, you have to give grants. If you look at the grants, majority of the states will be complaining that we are not getting enough amount of taxes or enough amount of money. But according to the estimates since 2018, if you look, the total transport to states and union territories in lakh crores. This is again in lakh crores. This is again in lakh crores. It has been consistently increasing. So total transport to the states and union territories in lakh crores has been consistently increasing. This is my point number 7. That is important to note it down. Extremely important to note it down. This is what we have as far as the basic trends are considered. The basic trends are considered, which is extremely important for prelims. Which is extremely important for prelims. So if UPSC asks in the prelims, the first thing that they will focus is here. We can expect questions here. 1 or 2 that I have said in my last 1 hour. This is one thing that you have to remember. Right, guys? I hope you are understanding this point. So this is what we have as far as the first 3 topics are considered. So first thing is a general outline, where we have written about 53.47 lakhs crores, where it is coming, where it is going on. The second one is important points to be remembered, that is called trends, how the trends are being varied in the country. These are the first 3 things that we have to know as far as budget 2027 is considered. As far as 2027 is considered, these are the things that we have to remember. The last one is what exactly this budget is consisting in the form of the so-called the mains analysis. This is for mains, because in the mains you have that component called budget provisions. So let me start with this. So this is for prelims. I hope it is understood. For the mains, they can be asking the questions here. Here also there will be some prelims questions. Anyhow, that will be discussed here. First of all, budget 2027. If you look at the theme of budget is Yuva Shakti. Very beautiful thing, because Government of India believes in what Subhash Chandra Bose has said, in what Swami Vivekananda has said. If you look at the figure, Shiva Shankar, consistently increasing since financial year 2020. I have written consistently increasing since financial year 2020 because I know that in year 2020 it was changed. But look at financial year 2020 onwards, not 2018. Since 2020 it has been consistently increasing. Right. So look at the this one. I have written it as 2020. Since 2020 it has been consistently increasing. So that is the reason I did not give it as 2018. I said it as 2020. I have given it as 2020. So in 2019 to 20 there was a decline, but look at from 2021. Sorry. Look at financial year 2020 itself, 11.45, 13.20, 17.06. So since financial year 2020, it has been consistently increasing. It has been consistently increasing. That is what I have pointed it out. So look at the figures carefully. That is important. Right. Shiva Shankar, I hope you got the point. Now, let's quickly recall what this budget has as far as these provisions are considered. So budget 2027 has said about the major theme of the budget is Yuva Shakti. The engines of Viksit Bharat is in Yuva Shakti, as mentioned by Subhash Chandra Bose or as mentioned by Swami Vivekananda. The youth of this country has to arise, awake, and not stop till you reach your goal. That is what Srimati Sitaraman is saying. If you want to carry this country to Viksit Bharat and make this country as a developed country, the answer is on the shoulders of the youth of this country. So this budget exclusively focuses on this youth. So the core theme of this budget is Yuva Shakti. The core theme of this budget is Yuva Shakti. And this Yuva Shakti is built on 3 pillars. It is built on a triangle of 3 pillars. Government of India wants to accelerate the economic growth and sustain it over a period of time. So the first pillar is economic growth and sustaining it, which means environmental protection. So focusing on economic growth. Second one is to ensure that the capabilities of the people are being built according to Amartya Sen economics. Enhance the capabilities, develop the so-called human being. That is what they are focusing on. And the third one is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, to ensure that the available resources are distributed to the community benefit. That is the 3 elements of this budget. So the 3 kartavyas that they have mentioned in the budget is this. So Yuva Shakti is the core theme built on 3 kartavyas. The first one is the so-called economic growth, which will be sustainable in the long run. Second one is to enhance the capabilities of the people. And the third one is to ensure that there is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which means inclusive growth. These are the 3 elements of budget. Now, in order to accelerate these components, it has to rely on the supporting ecosystem, which is reforms as the major important thing. So Government of India is believing in reforms express. And in the latest budget, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman says that Government of India in the last 10 years have brought majority of the reforms. There has been almost 200 reforms in various sectors of economy, which has made this express to reach to the highest levels of potential. So today our express is moving at a faster pace to reach the destiny of 2047 Viksit Bharat. So reforms has played a very, very crucial role, be it the reforms in the so-called the income components of the government, expenses components of the government in the form of getting the so-called GSTs, tax reforms, labor reforms, production reforms, infrastructure reforms, investment reforms, bank reforms, stock market reforms, pension reforms, insurance reforms, and the entire ecosystem of economy has been revitalized and rejuvenated by this government. That is based on these reforms, they wanted to pull this economy or propel this economy into 2047 economic growth. So it is built on 3 kartavyas based on economic reforms. The first kartavya is to ensure that there will be sustainability in the growth. Now, speaking about sustainability in the growth, Government of India has relied on the so-called 6 areas. So how to propel the growth? Government of India has relied on 6 areas. The first thing that they are focusing is on the so-called manufacturing sector. The second thing that they are focusing is on industries. Third one, on infrastructure. Fourth one, they are focusing is on MSMEs. Fifth one, long-term security and stability. And sixth one, capital economic regions. They want to make these regions to develop. They want to make these regions to develop. So this is what they are speaking about. Economic growth and acceleration to sustain. They are focusing on 6 areas that you are finding here. Manufacturing in 7 strategic areas. Legacy of industrial sector should be continued. MSMEs champions, infrastructure components, long-term security and stability, and the so-called CER. These are the famous areas that they are focusing on. And in the manufacturing of 7 strategy areas, so in the manufacturing, they wanted to propel in 7 areas, starting with the so-called biopharma, Indian semiconductor area or sector, electronics, in the rare earths, dedicated chemical parks, capital goods industry, and textile industry. These are the 7 areas that they are focusing on. So first one is to revive the so-called manufacturing base in the country. They are focusing on biopharmacy, where Government of India realizes the true potential of the pharmaceutical sector in India, and they have been accommodating almost 10,000 crores in the next 5 years for this sector in this budget. Second one that they said is Indian semiconductor machines. Indian semiconductor manufacturing 1.0 has been successful in continuation of it. They have continuing the second one that is called Indian semiconductor machine 2.0. The third thing that they are focusing is on electronics. Electronics manufacturing has been the leading component in India as far as the so-called next generation AI is considered. They are continuing even today with this electronic manufacturing. So that is third sector in order to revive manufacturing. The fourth sector that they are believing is in the rare earth metals. Government of India clearly understood that if you want to propel the economy, which is digitally driven, rare earth metals are forming a crucial role, and Government of India has been framing its policies in critical minerals such as rare earths. Fifth one that they are believing is in dedicated chemical parks. They wanted to develop nodal agencies for development of the so-called drugs and pharmaceutical industry in the country. Just like biopharma, they are focusing on chemical parks. This is followed by the so-called capital good industry. Right from first 5-year plan of Sri Jawaharlal Nehru, we have been focusing on capital machines exclusively from second 5-year plan. Even today, this government is focusing on the capital machines. India lacks capital machine industry. As a result, this time they are focusing on boosting the capital machines also. This is followed by the so-called labor-intensive textile sector, which is accommodating huge amount of labor force. They have come out some themes, or they have come out with some projects to develop this. So this is the first thing they wanted to develop, that is called manufacturing zone, to ensure that there will be momentum, in the so-called manufacturing sector of the country, to ensure that there will be momentum in the manufacturing of this country. The second theme that they focused here is continue the legacy of industrial sector by reviving the 200 industries in the country which have the potential. Legacy of the industrial sector has to be continued. And the third one is build upon the momentum of MSMEs. We all know that today in India there are 7 crore MSMEs, which is giving jobs to almost 30 crore Indians. And the MSME is contributing to 35% of global exports. In the entire manufacturing, MSMEs is contributing to 45%. As a result, MSMEs are extremely important for us. As a result, what Government of India is focusing, the third thing to boost this economy is on the MSMEs. For them, they have announced 3 themes in this. The first one is they have to give support in terms of equity. They wanted to bring capital infusion into MSMEs through equity support mechanisms. The second thing that they are supporting is liquidity. Equity is through capital market. Liquidity is by giving money directly from the banks or government. And the third one that they wanted to do is professional support, such as skill development for the so-called MSME people, compliance mechanisms in the taxes. So this is called professional support. So MSMEs are taken care through 3 support mechanisms. One is equity support, second one is liquidity support, third one is professional support. This is followed by infrastructure schemes. Just now we have said that the capital expenditure of the government has been consistently increasing, and the effective capital expenditure has been consistently increasing at 7.1 lakh crores have been dedicated in this year budget. This clearly shows that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his team is exclusively focusing on the infrastructure development, which is vital for production purposes. And we know that infrastructure is having multiplier effect in the economy. As a result, Government of India is focusing on infrastructure enhancement. Now, how Government of India is focusing on this infrastructure enhancement? First thing is by raising the capital expenditure by taking more money out of its funding to the so-called infrastructure projects. This is followed by the so-called equity trusts, such as InvITs and real estate investment trusts. Government of India is mobilizing money through this ways for infrastructure projects. That is what in the 6th area they are focusing on, infrastructure segment. Next one is long-term security and stability. Long-term security and stability. In order to enhance this long-term security and stability, they are focusing on dedicated freight corridors. This time they have focused on the so-called East Coast corridor, which runs from the so-called Kanyakumari to the so-called Kolkata. And from there, they wanted to extend it to the so-called northeastern states under Mission Purvodaya. This is what Government of India is focusing on as far as long-term security and stability is considered. This is about the so-called dedicated freight corridors. It should also be noteworthy to remember that Government of India is enhancing 20 new inland waterways. They are developing 20 new inland waterways to capture the potential of the underserved or untapped inland waterways so far. The best state is Kerala again here. Kochi has transported, or Kochi has started, the city of Kochi has started inland waterway metro project. Just like we have metro trains in Kochi, they have metro shipping. So they wanted to tap this potential to the other parts of the country. For that, they have launched 20 new inland waterway development project. This is another thing that we have to be worthy of. And Government of India has been focusing on sustainable development through carbon trading mechanism. So they are reducing the so-called carbon emissions, and Government of India has set some continuous target. And in order to reduce that carbon emissions, this year budget, they have said that we will be allotting 20,000 crore rupees for it. This is what we have as far as the first 5 segments are considered. Look at manufacturing, legacy of industrial sector, MSMEs, infrastructure, and the so-called sustainability. The last component that they are speaking is CES. Capital economic regions. Now, what is this capital economic regions? They are identifying certain regions and they are developing certain infrastructure projects across this. As a part of this CER, capital extensive regions, the first thing that they say is they are laying down high-speed rail tracks. We all know that from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, we have the bullet train system. Government of India said that in the upcoming days, we are going to launch 7 high-speed trains. This is one noteworthy thing in this year budget. From where these high-speed trains will be running, starting from the so-called, already we have in this stretch of Ahmedabad to Mumbai, from Bombay to Bangalore, Bombay to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bangalore, Hyderabad to Chennai. And then they wanted to start one thing from Delhi to Varanasi and Varanasi to Siliguri in Assam or in West Bengal. So these are the 7 corridors that they wanted to launch. These are the 7 corridors that they wanted to launch under CER regions. So 7 high-speed projects or high-speed trains is going to be launched in the country. We already have one dedicated freight corridor for the high-speed trains, that is called bullet trains, from Ahmedabad to Bombay. Now they wanted to connect it to Bombay to Pune, from Pune to Hyderabad. From Hyderabad, one stretch will go to Chennai, the other stretch will come to Bangalore, and they wanted to develop one more thing from Agra to Delhi to Varanasi, and from Varanasi to Siliguri. So these are the 7 freight corridors or bullet trains that Government of India has announced in this. And one most important thing is capital economic regions. They are focusing on development of critical mineral industries. They are focusing on critical mineral industries which can be enhanced in this development. Critical mineral industries are going to be started because critical minerals are those minerals which are very critical to run the so-called electronic industry, and Government of India is focusing on this. And in this budget, they said that 4 states are identified for critical mineral industries, starting with the so-called Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha. These are the 4 states identified to develop the critical mineral industry. This is what they have said. So in the capital extensive regions, budget is focusing on these things. This is followed by the so-called financial sector reforms. For financial sector reforms, Government of India has suggested that we are going to employ a separate committee to look into the so-called remodeling of the public sector banks in the country. So far, we have 12 public sector banks. Government of India recently announced that we are going for consolidation of public sector banks, and that will be steered by a high-level committee on public sectors or financial institutions. This is what they have said as far as financial sector is considered. And in the emerging technologies also, Government of India is focusing on the emerging technologies. And then ease of doing business. In order to promote the ease of doing business, they are coming out with governance reforms. And then municipal bonds are playing a very crucial role in developing the so-called urban governance in the country. These are the things that they have been saying in the first segment, that is called economic growth and acceleration of sustainable growth. So again, I say these are given in the flow chart in the same paper that we have given. After this, the second leg of our kartavya is aspirations of people, to meet the aspirations of people. That is capacity building of the people. Normally, in order to build the capacity, we all know that we have to focus on education and health. Government of India in this budget are also focusing on this. So what they said is there will be a committee on education to employment. So to ensure that they are giving education opportunities and they are converting into the so-called employment opportunities, Government of India is suggesting that we will be developing this education to employment opportunities in the country. So there will be a committee again to look into educational aspects. As far as health aspects is considered, Government of India has allotted decent amount of money for pharmaceutical industry this time. And they are focusing on animal husbandry in this budget. And exclusively, they have mentioned one more thing. They are focusing on orange economy. Can someone know, type what is orange economy? This is going to be one of the most important things for this year prelims. Government of India has focused, even economic survey has focused on orange economy. So can someone type what is orange economy? This is what they are focusing. And in order to promote the so-called astrophysics, Government of India said that they are going to launch 20 new telescopic centers. And then they are promoting culture, sports, and tourism in the so-called human development. So orange economy is that economy which will be reliable on creativity, such as the so-called graphical designing, gaming, doing graphics by using some technology. So essential creative assets. Yes, Shravan, essential creative assets. So that is called orange economy. So by using the so-called creative skills of the people, if you are running the economy, animation, gaming, visual effects, absolutely. So all these are the things that is being based on essential commodity. So normally economy will be driven by the physical assets, but here by digital assets you are creating. Develop some gaming aspects where economy will be developed. Create some graphical representations where you can generate some money. Yeah, comics, animation, gaming, visuals, comics, everything comes under the so-called creative economy. Very, very important for this year prelims. An economy which is driven by the so-called creative intellect of the human mind rather than the so-called physical infrastructure is creative economy. So this is the second thing or second leg of our economic survey. The first leg is to continue the momentum of growth. The second one is to meet the aspirations of the people by building the capabilities of the people. Through this, they wanted to focus on health, education, tourism, culture, and the aspects of creative technologies like orange economy, as well as sports and animal husbandry. And the last one that they are focusing is on Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. The third leg of Kartavya Path is Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. In this, Government of India has been focusing on the so-called farmers, Divyangjans, and Purvodaya, Mission Purvodaya. So for farmers, they have launched certain schemes such like She-Marts, SHEMARTS, Bharat Vistar projects, as well as they are focusing on animal husbandry, fisheries, and high-valued agricultural commodities. These are the things that the farmers have got in this budget. And for Divyangjans, so for Divyangjans, what Government of India said, they are going to launch Kaushal Divyangjan Yojana and Sahara Divyangjan Yojana. This is to develop the skill in the emerging fields for these disabled people. And in the Mission Purvodaya, they are focusing on the so-called development of the northeastern states, along with the so-called critical minerals in these 4 states. This is what the major thing of the budget is. And finally, Miss Nirmala Sitharaman has done one more beauty that is important for our prelims. 16th Finance Commission report has been tabled in the Parliament today. Can someone type who is the chairman of 16th Finance Commission? So the report has been out, and this year 16th Finance Commission also said that they will be continuing 41% of tax devolution between the center and the states. So Sitharaman has tabled the so-called 16th Finance Commission. The report is yet to be out. Once the report is done, we will be preparing that in detail. Right, 16th Finance Commission is chaired by Arvind Panagaria. The report is out. This year, they said that the vertical tax devolution will be 41%. The rest of the story is yet to evolve in this direction because the report is not yet available for us. So once that is available, we'll make a separate video on that. So this is about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is the theme of, which is the guiding principle of our budget. So if you look at the theme, so this is what the main answer is for our budget. So repeating, so budget 2027 is focusing on Yuva Shakti based on 3 kartavyas. One is to pull the economy up. Second one is to promote capacity building. Third one is to promote inclusive growth through Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. And the guiding principle for us is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Budget says that the North Pole for us, or North Star for us is, or Pole Star for us is Atmanirbhar Bharat. With that thing in mind, this express is being moved in 3 areas to promote economic growth. In order to promote economic growth, they are focusing on 6 sectors. The first sector being manufacture, where you have 7 areas of focus. Second one is industries, revival of 200 massive industries. Third one is MSME champions. Fourth one is infrastructure. Fifth one is sustainable growth. Sixth one is capital economic regions that they are focusing on. And then for the so-called aspirations of the people to build capacities of these people, we are focusing on health, education, animal rearing, orange, economy, these things. And then the third one is Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. This is what this budget is focusing on, and this is for our, this table that we have presented is for your mains. This is what the budget is. This is what the budget is. So what you have to refer? You have to just refer to the documents that I have said, and whatever we have shared. This is important for prelims. So I'll do one more thing. From the budget speech, I'll take some important aspects, and I will also prepare a short document I'll be sharing to you people. With this, budget will be over. We already made 10 chapters of economic survey videos. And to my Astra students, I said that I will be compiling that entire 16 chapters into some 40 minutes or 30 minutes video where you have to focus on. With that, your current affairs preparation for prelims will be starting. Right, guys, this is the budget that 2027 has, 2027 has. So what is the noteworthy point? So it is quite optimistic. Just like the economic survey is saying about the so-called the growth of this country, given the global uncertainties. Budget is also pointing out that there are global uncertainties, but this country has the potential of youth demographic dividend is present here. It is building on that demographic dividend. So as the youth of this country who is preparing for this beautiful exam called UPSC or State Public Service Commissions, the story of the growth of this country is resting on our shoulders. So let's recall again what our finance minister has said. The great Swami Vivekananda. Let's arise, awake, and not stop till our goal is reached. That is what the budget has in this. So thank you everyone. Jai Hind. We'll be meeting with our current affairs soon subsequently. Take care. Have a great day. Marathon plus sprint running requires the reforms. Yes, that is what we require. Whatever we are doing is marathon plus sprint. Okay, don't worry. How many students will be preparing on the first day of the budget, this compilation? You are done. This is called sprint as well as marathon. So this is a hybrid thing. Yes. Just this is the one that you have to prepare for prelims, nothing more. Economics is very easy to prepare for current affairs. Don't worry about it. So my target is in prelims, polity and economics, we should not do wrong. Those who are following my Astra series, be on track. Just follow the current affairs that I have been making here. You're going to be into the mains. In the mains, we'll also prepare like this. Mains is easy to prepare, don't worry, compared to prelims. Right, guys? Thanks for joining. Have a great day. I'm winding it up now.